Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're already part of the Sprinkle Squad. I'm so happy to see you again. And of course, since we just got a new expansion pack, this is a limited pack build just for businesses and hobbies. And I will say that this build definitely took on a bunch of different renditions, and originally, believe it or not, I was planning on making this like a starter home business lot so you could just jump in and play. Yeah, that didn't happen, which is not really surprising given how I usually build. I don't know how, but a lot of my builds end up being 100,000 simoleons, and we're talking about smaller builds, but this one actually comes out to be 128,000 simoleons, so not too terrible considering this is a fairly large B&B and the residential lot as well. And I was trying originally to kind of have it blend into the surrounding buildings, and so that it really looked kind of similar, but it kind of just ended up being a little extra and just a little bit more colorful. And honestly, that's not super surprising for me since a lot of the things I build are very colorful. I just can't help myself and I just really like it. But I think this turned out really well. At the beginning, I really struggled with the colors I wanted to use. Originally, I really wanted to use this lovely yellow color, but I ended up swapping it out for one of the bright peachy pink colors that we got, which again matches the world since a lot of the buildings around here have that same swatch, if that makes sense. And I will say I struggled with the foundation. I struggled with so many things. I think at one point I made it smaller and then I made it bigger again, just the whole lot. Like it took me some time, and I honestly don't know how big of a fan I am of the fences for this pack. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the furniture and everything, and I think that's all wonderful. However, I don't know what it was about the fences. Maybe it's just for the build I had in mind. I didn't feel like it matched super well. Like, we kind of have that almost picket fence kind of look, what I have on the building right now, which I do like. I just didn't feel like matched what I was going for exactly. And then the other one has the little fairy lights on it, which are super adorable, but I wish the fence was a little more pronounced. Like, it just felt a little, I don't know if it's just because of like the spandrels on it just felt a little small. And I know this is supposed to be Scandinavian, like for the pack and everything, so I have a feeling that's a little more in that decorative style, if that makes sense, which I feel like I need to find a build to use those for. I just didn't feel like I wanted something to pop a little more. And I will say I thought it was kind of interesting that we got some stair swatches that are like left and right, which I thought was kind of cool. And it took me a while to find the identity for this build, but like I said, I'm trying to make this kind of a B&B kind of situation. And it was actually kind of funny. I finished building this at the end of last week, but I'm only just now doing the voiceover, basically the day that I post this. And I ended up choosing that flower, the logo, the business logo. I ended up using it for this bed and breakfast. And then I think it was just a couple days ago, so after I finished the build, I think little Simsy uploaded, was it a hotel or a B&B with that logo? And I just thought that was really funny. So I guess that's kind of a common thing to choose, but I do think this ended up looking really cute. I used a lot of this blue swatch here, which honestly is not surprising. It is one of my favorite colors, so I definitely used it a lot in here. And I think it worked so wonderfully together, and I love that wall plant that we got. I feel like I'm going to use that a lot. I wish, in the future, well, I guess I shouldn't say I wish. I hope in the future we get even more of those, because I really like the idea of that. And I did use the awnings with the little fairy lights, which I thought were super adorable here. And then, of course, adding in a bunch of columns. And like I said, I swapped out that fence just for something that had a little more pop to it. Maybe it's I was looking for something that had multiple colors in it. So we have that like white and black going on there. And I think that helped make it pop a little bit. I feel like maybe if the build was a little bit smaller, that would have made more sense. And I feel like I want to make a more like monotone one color build maybe with this pack. I just feel like that would be really pretty as well, but I just can't help myself. And I will say that the idea is that most of the second floor will be the residential area. However, I did make the front of the second floor, still like an area for the B&B for the Sims to kind of hang out in. And I'm trying to remember, I know that I said in the lot description, so I made it the residential business lot, and I think I said that I wanted the Sims to sleep, eat, go to the coffee bar. I think I had them, was it reading or something like that? Because I do end up putting like a large, almost cozy reading space upstairs, which I thought was really adorable. I figured with the new fireplaces we got. And I will say this floral wallpaper, it has a hold on me. I love it so much. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just those colors are just my favorite colors. That like pastel-y, the pink, blue, green, yellow. Like I love it so much. So I definitely use it. I think I end up putting a little more of that like peachy orange wall like paint in here, because I think that helped break it up, because it was a lot. And yes, I did use a matching dresser for it, and I figured that's a lot. That's a lot of pattern. However, I thought it still looked really cute, and I figured for something like a hotel B&B, maybe they did like intentionally match everything, if you know what I mean. Like I've been in some hotels that have like everything matches really well, so that's kind of what I went for here. And it was actually really funny. I didn't even go into like debug live edit until closer to the end of the build. I don't know why. It never occurred to me that I need to be using that. And I will say, yes, my build by UI is still looking a little weird since the Better Build by mod has not been updated. But it still works. It just, the little pictures don't make a whole lot of sense. But if you know where all of the categories are, it's not too big of a deal. So I feel like on muscle memory, I know where a lot of the categories are, so it wasn't too bad. I just feel like I can't live without the mod, especially when it comes to copying debug items and things like that for landscaping. It makes such a difference. It's also really nice because you can actually sort by debug and turn it on and off really easily instead of having to put the cheats in and that kind of thing. So that's something I just really like. So to me, it's worth it. So just ignore it until the mod gets updated. It's just going to look a little bit funny, but I figured honestly, it's not too big of a deal. Hopefully not. I guess unless you are trying to figure out where an item came from. Of course, every item in here is going to either be businesses and hobbies, base game, or debug live edit for one of those. So you can kind of narrow that down just a little bit. And I will say there were 2 items that I end up placing that I have to take back out of the build. So every time I do a limited pack build, I save it and then I go and look. So once you save the build, in the lot description, you can see, or I guess your saved library, that's what I'm looking for. In your library, you can see the listing and it'll tell you which packs were used. So I always double check. And of course, this build does have the not early access items, but the early ordering items. Why is the word escaping me for that? So actually, when you look it up, it has the businesses and hobbies logo twice there, but it is all just from this pack and base game. But when I went to go save it, I realized that I had something from, I think it was Get Together. I had 2 things from Get Together. The difficult part was, so when in case you didn't know, if you're wondering what items in a build are actually from a certain pack, if you click on the little icon on the listing and you can go over to, show you which items were in the build. And that's super helpful, and that's what I tried to do. But the unfortunate part is both of those items I got out of debug live edit, which means it doesn't come up in that list. So I had to go and kind of figure out which item it was. And it turns out that I used, for whatever reason, I ended up putting the dartboard upstairs, and well, that's from Get Together. So I do take that out. So if you see me place it, it gets taken back out before I do screenshots and before it gets uploaded. And I also included a car in the back right of the lot. I figured maybe that's the owner's parking spot. I kind of like the idea of, they have one really close to the building. And that car is from Get Together, unfortunately. Again, that's like a debug car. but I swap it out for a base game one, so there still is a car there. It just gets swapped out for something different. But I did find it all, so in case you notice those things, they're not in the final build. So if you want to go download this, it is already on the Sims 4 gallery under my ID, Spice and Sprinkles, all one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. And I did play test this, made sure your sim could get kind of everywhere they needed to go. So hopefully you don't have any kind of issues here. And I will say that I struggled just a little bit in this lobby area. I'm trying to figure out where I wanted to put everything, and like I wanted a space for the Sims to be able to hang out, it being kind of the check-in area for the B&B, if that makes sense. And I do end up putting a fruit bowl in the treat case, the bakery case over there, because I thought in my mind it's like, oh, that's where the owner puts things that the Sims can get, you know, the whole breakfast part of the bed and breakfast. So I figured a bowl of fruit would make a whole lot of sense there. And so I just wanted to point that out in case you were looking for it specifically for Mama Spicy, or anybody that knows that Mama Spicy requires that there is a fruit bowl in every single build. So just FYI, it's kind of snuck in there, but it is there. And I finished the whole entire first floor, and then I realized that I forgot stairs. So I ended up actually pausing my recording because I couldn't believe that I did that and figuring out where to put stairs. And you may notice that I put the stairs outside because I just couldn't figure out a way to keep the first floor intact and have stairs kind of fit in there. Plus I figured, since for the most part it is the residential part, that's where the owner's gonna go, and then it's just kind of a hangout area, so it's not a required area for the Sims to go to. But I thought it was kind of cute to have that there. And of course, putting in these wonderful bookcases we got, I really like those. And I like the swatches kind of change up the books and everything. And I think it may actually be, I did this in, I think it was like 2 recording sessions. I think during my second recording session is when I figured out I needed to go into debug and live edit to get some extra items out. And of course, using that wallpaper pattern which they put on chairs and couches and this bench, and I just could not help myself. I had to use it. So I apologize if you don't like that wallpaper. Of course, as always, if you want to download it and change things around, you're more than welcome to do so to fit whatever you're doing with your Sims or just your personal taste. Of course, if you also have other packs, you can add stuff in. And I think these fireplaces are really nice. I do wish so we have this like circular one, and then we have the like square one. I wish the square one had more swatches. You know what I mean? I wish that it is all the neutral swatches, which is fine. I'm not complaining about neutral swatches, but I wish we had, because like in this cylindrical one, we have the blues and pinks and everything, but I wish we kind of had all the swatches for both of them. But of course, as someone who builds, that's basically mostly what I do, is building in The Sims. I want all of the swatches for everything all of the time. So, you know, that's kind of my thing. And also, out of curiosity, does anybody else like the floral wallpaper and stuff that came with this? It almost gives me CC feelings, which I'm definitely not going to complain about. It's ended up looking so cute. And I know that a lot of people have built hotels and B&Bs just because that's something that's super fun, and I think it was in other versions of the game. Personally, I have not done hotels in any of the versions of Sims 4, and I've actually played a little bit with this pack in particular. I did a cute little bakery and some pottery, and oh my goodness, you can really make some good money with the pottery. And if you're wondering where I got some of those really cool pottery items and the more interesting pieces of artwork, that is from like the debug part of the pack. I just thought that would be really cute. Like maybe the owner of the B&B went around and got things from the local like shops here, and I thought that would be really cute. And I do end up putting an umbrella out on the deck as well with a little bit of seating. And I will say I struggled a little bit with the residential portion of this build, just kind of fitting everything in here and also making all of the colors make sense. I did do some replicating just because I guess it made sense. Maybe the person that lives here designed the B&B itself so they would have similar tastes, but I still trying to make it a little more unique maybe from the rest of it. I do end up using 2-toned cabinets in here. I think I end up using yellow for the upper cabinets, which I thought ended up being really cute, and then actually putting some tall cabinets by the door. And I think I actually end up randomly swapping to the exterior. So at the end of my first recording session I think I was kind of working on the residential area and decided that I needed a creative break. So then when I came back to the build, for whatever reason, I decided to work on the landscaping because I guess that's just what I felt like doing at the time. So if you randomly see me jump over to that, that's kind of what happened. And I think it turned out really nicely. Outside, I end up doing a bunch of like flowers and everything, and I think it turns out really cute. And I do love the little pergola, like awning thing. What am I trying to say? The tent thing. Anyways, that is out there right now. I do end up using it, and it has the little lights on it, and it ends up looking so cute out there. I love it so much. And I honestly really do love, they have the floral like in the white background, and then they have it like with the black background. And I love that one too. Honestly, I feel like I'm going to have to do a build for that as well, just because it gives me the feel of like, almost like it would glow under a black light. Like it just looks really cool. So I feel like I need to do a build based on that as well. But I thought it'd be really nice to have this little seating area out here. And I end up putting this like green end table intersecting with the umbrella with the candles on there. I thought it looked like really cozy. And of course, a lot of the landscaping I got is from Debug. And I don't think the actual pack Hobbies and Businesses has a bunch of landscaping, debug and everything, but Base Game does. So I definitely used a lot of that just because it makes a huge difference. And even though you have like certain bushes and everything, they have it in different colorations as well in Debug. So I went in there, I just thought it ended up looking really cute putting this fountain in here. And I do end up adding in some of those dancing water emitters in there as well. So there's like 4 of those inside of the, what is this called? This is a fountain. I was about to call it a waterfall. It is not that dramatic. That is a fountain. And just back here again, putting with the blue swatch, I think it ends up looking so pretty here. And it's not surprising since blue and orange are complementary colors that I feel like this works really well together, and it being that peachy color on the building. And then using these lovely new bushes that we got recently from, was it one of those like login rewards things? I'm trying to remember. But anyways, I do really love that. Or is it just a base game update? I cannot remember. I feel like we've gotten so many items lately, it is hard for me to keep up at times. But then adding in this really cute tree with the cute lights on it, that is, I believe, from this pack. I think it's one of the only landscaping items that I got from this pack. And then of course having that really cool statue out front as well. And I do end up adding flamingos in the front of this as well. This may actually be the first time I've ever used that item ever. In all of the builds I've done in The Sims 4, I think that is the first time I have ever done that. And I end up just using these low-lying floral grass patches here in the front. So it wasn't super distracting because I wanted you to be able to easily see the landscaping that was around the building. And that's where I end up putting the little flamingos. And they just end up, I think, looking so adorable. But I just thought it was kind of funny. And I was like, should I? Yes, I definitely should. So then just adding in, of course, some landscaping lights as well, because I feel like it really adds something to lots when it's nicely lit outside. And I say that as someone who doesn't have this in their own front yard or backyard. I should, and I want to. It's just not something that I've actually done. I feel like in The Sims, it's where you actually do things that you may not otherwise do in your home or don't have time or money for, which is actually really nice to be able to do some of those things. And then just adding in a really cute area out here. And I will say that I end up using that platform, which should be used for the buying and selling of your different goods, but I just thought it looked really cute as a coffee table, because the coffee table we got with this pack I feel like is really tall and just kind of doesn't look super proportional to the chairs and everything. But what I will say is I may have put buying and looking at items as one of the things to do on this lot, and if that is the case, then Sims will try to buy those items. So in case you do download this lot and it does have that on there, those items will probably disappear because the sim will probably buy them. So if you're wondering where your items go, that's why. I wish, and maybe there is, can you actually turn off the ability to sell stuff from an item? I think that would be really cool to do. I feel like it's not an issue if it's in the residential portion of your lot, since other sims can't get to it if they're there to buy items, but since that is in the public portion, I'm assuming those items will definitely disappear. And then just kind of adding a bunch of stuff in here, I end up rearranging the living room. I was having a hard time with how I wanted the living room laid out, because I wanted this sim to have a computer, a little desk area, because I figured since they're running a business, they would, want a little office space, if you will. And then just making sure they also have a little dining table, because I just thought that was so cute. Oh, and I also know that practically, like the hotel beds downstairs, your sims aren't going to like lay down and sleep with strangers, if that makes sense. So if you notice in your game, only family members or people with like high relationships will actually nap and stuff together. So you may have that kind of issue. The only problem was with this pack, there was only a double bed. So if you want to swap those out for single beds, you could put multiple single beds in there too. Feel free to do so. That's probably what I would have done if the pack had come with a single bed, if that makes sense. I really wish it did, because I think that would be really cute. And I think this living room turned out really nicely, even though it definitely took me a little while to figure out how I wanted it set up. And especially pulling out a bunch of the stuff from Debug, the things that maybe the sim went out and bought in the city, I think is a really cute touch as well. And then just adding in some nice cute little flowers. And again, that art as well is something from the pack. And I do end up moving the coat rack and these shoes out to the foyer area for this sim. And then I end up just putting another tall cabinet there. Maybe just because that's my dream, is to have just, an abundance of storage in my kitchen, especially since I'm someone that bakes and everything. I have a lot of baking stuff. It's a lot. So I wish I had some more storage. Maybe in the future I'll be able to do that. But cabinetry is really expensive. I've kind of been looking a little bit, and I don't know. I might end up, I don't know. I guess I need to learn how to actually build cabinets on my own. Just because I was looking at like one tall cabinet that matched my cabinets was like over $1,000, and that is a lot of money. But anyways, that's totally off topic, but something I've been doing lately is looking at cabinetry. So here, just trying to finish up the residential bedroom here. It was a bit difficult just trying to fit everything in here, and I figured maybe I wanted space for 2 sims in this room in case you wanted 2 sims to be on this lot, even though only one owns the business, but the other one can like help out and be an employee if you would like to. And I wish we got another rug with this pack as well. Again, just I feel like rugs are so useful, and maybe it's because I had to delve into base game to help me out a little bit, since we have some wonderful rugs, but a lot of them have come in other packs. I wish, that honestly would be a really cool kit. It's just items like that. You know what I mean? That would be like really cool. Just extra stuff for your build. I don't know. Like, let me know if you were to design a kit, what would you want like in the game? And it could be cast, or it could be, build by, that kind of thing. But like, let me know what your idea would be. That would be really nice. I do know that we have some that are supposed to be coming out, right? In not too terribly long, maybe in April. I might be totally making that up, but I feel like we do have some coming up, which is also exciting. I feel like we've gotten so much content lately that it's just really difficult for me to keep up with everything. And I struggled a lot with what to do with this wall. I ended up putting another window here, a smaller window than the one that was there, because I just felt like the one that was there was just a little bit too big for that space. And I felt like the curtains were just a little too much. So I think bringing in that navy helped a lot with figuring out how the colors would work in there, especially since we had that really nice blue on all the doors and windows in this space. And then for the Sims foyer, I just kind of literally made it look like a front door. So putting some plants and a bench and their coats and shoes out here. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.